Now, I want to take this opportunity to talk a little bit about Venture for America, and hopefully, that's my clicker. Hopefully, now that you've gotten a sense of the fellows and what they're doing, that our mission makes a little bit more sense, perhaps. But I want to read it again: to revitalize American cities and communities through entrepreneurship, to enable our best and brightest to create new opportunities for themselves and others, and to restore the culture of achievement to include value creation, risk and reward, and the common good. And these are very ambitious, lofty goals, so we decided to distill them into something a little bit more immediate, which is we're going to create 100,000 new US jobs by 2025. And for all of the discussion about job creation, we think this is actually pretty straightforward. What you do is you provide people like Charlie and Jen and Chris with the talent they need to grow their enterprises, reach the next level, expand and hire more people, and you train your best and brightest to become exactly like them. You train them to become builders, job creators who will end up generating new opportunities. We have the talent, we have the resources, it's just being very, very poorly allocated right now. Now, this is a slide, some of you guys went to Harvard, but we took Harvard just because their data was the best and because they exemplify a certain culture of achievement. And these stats are probably completely unsurprising to most of you because you've gone through this process. But as you can see, if you graduated from Harvard in 2011, there's about a 50% chance that you went to finance, law school, or management consulting. And if you included medicine, there's about a 2/3 chance that you headed to professional services. Now, these are obviously vital, crucial sectors of the economy, but we think that we may be at a point where we have a little bit too much of a good thing, and that there are diminishing returns from additional flows of talent to these areas. Now, if you try and parse out how many go to startups, it's like a subset of a subset. Industry includes all companies, big and small, from Procter & Gamble all the way down to a scrappy company in Detroit. Now, this is the picture that I've seen when I visit college campuses around the country. And I visited most of them at this stage. They get recruited actively by investment banks and management consulting firms, and then there's this massive gulf. And then over on the other side, you have grad school, Teach for America, Peace Corps. And we all know in this room that most of the economy occurs within that void. And certainly most of the growth opportunities and the companies that are going to end up being the companies of the future that create new jobs. And we think this is a structural problem that needs to be addressed. Now, the fact that so much talent is flowing to professional services has implications for cities around the country. Professional services tend to converge in a few cities. No surprise to you guys what they are. It's New York, DC, Boston, San Francisco. I think Chicago is number 5. And if you look at the parts of the country that are struggling with job generation and job growth, it's largely non-overlapping. And we think that this picture reflects a number of things. But it reflects the fact that our national university system has at this point become a de facto talent drain on much of the country, where if you're a brilliant young man who grows up in Florida and goes to Wharton, the odds of you going back to Florida and starting a business and creating opportunities, the odds are quite low. And the odds of you doing something in professional services are very high. So if you have this picture consistently for a couple of decades, you end up with an economy and a society that looks much like the one we all see before us today. And we think that this can be dramatically improved on. Now, what we do with Venture for America, which you guys have all seen a little bit of tonight, what we do is we create a pathway between enterprising top college graduates who want hands-on business experience and want to learn how to build a business, and we pair them with existing entrepreneurs and growth companies in cities that are somewhat downbeat economically. We select and train these college graduates, we match them with startups, and then they spend 2 years growing these companies. Now, throughout the 2 years, we actually also provide programming and support throughout, a sense of community and mentorship. At the end of the 2 years, we award $100,000 in seed investment to the top performing fellows so that they can eventually perhaps go on to start their own business. So this has the potential to give rise to a virtuous cycle, whereas these companies and fellows mature, they create new opportunities, hire more fellows, and this is how we think you rebuild an economy. Now, what we're doing with Venture for America, we all here in this room know how to build things. We're problem solvers. We know that in order to solve a problem, it takes an organization that requires resources. What we do at Venture for America in terms of recruitment, selection, training, placement, programming, and support, our costs are approximately $15,000 per fellow per year, which we think is actually very lean operationally. It's 25% less than Teach for America spends. on non-compensation, and it's a lot less than a lot of professional services firms spend. Certainly the law firm I worked for spent a lot more than that if you factored in all the time I took in people's offices talking to senior lawyers. Now, please do not be fooled by the setting we're in tonight, which again we owe to Darren and IC. We are very much a lean, mean startup nonprofit. And we have done everything we've done to date on less than $500,000, which gives you a sense of how operationally disciplined we've been. But we could really use your support. We have 3 pillars to what we do. The first is talent, which is abundant. There are thousands of young people around the country that want to take on this challenge. The second is growth companies around the country, which are also very, very numerous. And so right now, our bottleneck is actually our own resources, how many cities we can say yes to. Since we launched last year, we're now in 5 cities, but we've been approached by 10 other cities about expanding to their environments, and we have not been able to say yes as yet because we are not confident that we're going to be able to support the fellows the way that they need to be supported over the coming years. So if you've always dreamed about having a fellowship named after you, this is your chance. It's only $15,000. And if you sponsor a fellowship, that fellow will change his or her name to your name for 1 year. So if you ever wanted a doppelganger running around New Orleans or Las Vegas, this is it. Also, for tonight only, any contributions you make here tonight will be matched by our incredible board of directors up to the first 100,000. So if you want to make a difference, tonight is a great chance to do so. Also, if you want to talk to me individually or get in touch, my email is andrew@ventureforamerica.org. I'd love to hear from each and every one of you.